And the phone you know. Welcome to the today's session. Today I discuss about various scheduling concepts. The main service provided by the operating system or the main function of an operating system is a scheduling. We have three types of schedulers as I explained in the last class: long-term scheduler, medium-term scheduler, and short-term scheduler. Medium-term scheduler, also called as IO scheduler, it mainly focuses on input-output operations. Your short-term scheduler will discuss about how to execute the process in the main memory by applying scheduling algorithm. Before you should know about the scheduling concepts, you should know various scheduling criteria are there. On based on some factors, you have to consider whether which algorithm is going to be applied. So let us discuss about various scheduling criteria. In this scheduling, first of all, you have to decide some factors. Those factors are scheduling criteria. That means CPU utilization. Keep the CPU as busy as possible. Means the OS mainly focused on how the CPU is executed. Means the efficiency can be measured by that CPU itself. Normal efficiency is 100%, but in case of lightly coupled systems, 40% only the efficiency. Your OS will have to provide 90% of the efficiency because 10% may be lagged in case of IO failures or interrupt handling. Within that, the limitations, the CPU utilization or efficiency should be up to 90%. Next one as throughput. Throughput means the number of processes that complete their execution per unit amount of time. Or time unit means the number of jobs or number of processes that complete their execution per unit amount of time. Means within 1 hour, how many jobs are going to be executed by the CPU called as a throughput. For 6 jobs per hour or per day, 180 jobs. Likewise, the number of jobs or number of processes complete their execution without any blocking or waiting states. Means successful termination will be done by the processes. That number you are called as the throughput. Coming to the next criteria as turnaround time. Amount of time to execute a particular process means the time interval from the time of submission of a process to the time of the completion of the process. For example, how can you say it as a turnaround time? Means your second session starts at 10 o'clock. What is the completion time? 10:50. That 50 minutes duration is called as a turnaround time. Means entire round trip time you are called as round trip. Means starting submission to the completion. How much amount of the time difference? That difference you are called as a turn around time. One turn means, for example, submission at 11 o'clock, completion at 3 o'clock. The difference between 3 o'clock and 11 o'clock you are called as the turn around time. Next criteria as waiting time. Waiting time is defined as the amount of time the process has been waiting in the ready queue. Means waiting for CPU, getting the chance of CPU by the scheduler. Means the amount of time that process has been waiting queue. Similar to your Zoom class, somebody are in the waiting room. Whenever I click on admit, then only you have to allow to that meeting room. In the same way, waiting time is the amount of time the process has been waiting in the ready queue. That is called as the waiting time. Response time. Amount of time it takes when a request was submitted until the first response is produced. Means, for example, I ask a question. Within the fraction of seconds, who gave the first response? That is called as the response time. Means, whenever the CPU wants to handle the which process, immediate response by the CPU, that is called as the response time. Among these scheduling criteria, we have 5 criteria are there. Among these 5 criteria, which should be the maximum and which should be the minimum? That is a deciding factor. Based upon those criteria only, you have to identify whether it is a fair scheduling or not. Already you know, turnaround time, the time of submission to the completion should be the minimum. Then you can say algorithm is an efficient one. Waiting time, the amount of time the process has been waiting in the ready queue, means that waiting time should be the minimum. Response time, the amount of time it takes from when a request was submitted until the first response is produced. That response time is, for example, you gave the request today, you have to get the response after 5 days. It's very poor response. Hence, always we have to minimize the turnaround time, waiting time, and response time. Obviously, you have to maximize the CPU utilization and throughput. Then you are called as a fair scheduling or well scheduling algorithm. You are called as a efficient scheduling algorithm based upon these criteria. This is the optimization criteria. If you have to consider any type of the scheduling algorithm, you have maximum CPU utilization, maximum throughput, minimum turnaround time, and minimum waiting time, and minimum response time. Always the waiting time should be minimized and response time should be minimized, and the corresponding utilization and throughput will be increases or maximizes. With this optimal criteria, you can say which algorithm will possess these values, then we call it as an optimal scheduling algorithm. Normally, there are 2 types of scheduling algorithms. One has non-preemptive scheduling algorithms and second one has preemptive scheduling algorithms. Okay, let us discuss about various CPU scheduling algorithms now. First one as FCFS scheduling algorithm. First come, first serve scheduling algorithm. Second one as SJF scheduling algorithm. We have various types of scheduling algorithms. First one, FCFS scheduling. Second one, SJF. Third one, priority scheduling. Fourth one as round robin scheduling algorithm. These are the four basic scheduling algorithms. First one, first come, first serve scheduling algorithm, FCFS scheduling algorithm. Second one as SJF, means shortest job first algorithm. And within this, you have one more variant is there, that is SRTF, shortest remaining time first algorithm, SRTF, shortest remaining time first algorithm. Third one as priority scheduling. Fourth one as again round robin scheduling. These are the four popular scheduling algorithms provided by the operating system to perform the scheduling operations. Let us discuss one by one algorithms. Okay, let us discuss about first come, first serve scheduling. This is the first scheduling algorithm. These are the processes, process P1, P2, P3. These are the process IDs. P1 indicate process number 1, ID2, ID3, and burst time. Burst time means how much amount of time required to complete the entire execution of a process P1. That is called as 24 seconds. Consider as seconds. P2, 3 seconds. P3, 3 seconds. You should consider. Means it may be a milliseconds or 3 minutes. Whatever, it's a time constraints. Means this is the amount of time to execute this P1. Means 24 is the 24 minutes you have to consider. 24 minutes is the time to complete this task. P1, 3 seconds, 3 milliseconds for P2, P3 same way. First listen, all the processes are arrived into the ready queue in the order P1, P2, P3. Same order it will be arrived. The Gantt chart, you have to prepare one chart that is called Gantt chart. The Gantt, G-A-N-T-T. Gantt chart, T silent. For the schedule is starting all are arrived at the same time, means starting at 0 seconds. You have to start. First process burst time as 24. 0 to 24. This time will be assigned to the this 24 units of time will be assigned to the P1, means the CPU will execute particular P1 within the 24 units of time. After that completion, because it is a first come first serve scheduling, FCFA scheduling, means which process will be arrived first into the ready queue, that will be processed first. Next coming process will be processed next, and so on. You have three processes. First P1 will be processed, then CPU after 24th second, it will be completed the entire task of P1. Then only it switched to the P2. 24 plus 3, 27. That is the completion time for P2. Again, after 27 seconds, it will be transferred to the P3. It requires the burst time as 3. 27 plus 3, 30. Okay. This chart they are called as Gantt chart. It will be prepared by the operating system. Which process is going to be executed first? Here you have to calculate waiting time and turnaround times. What I explained about waiting time means the amount of time which will be the amount of time the process which will be in the ready queue, means to get the chance of CPU. Means P1 without waiting directly it will be assigned the CPU to this P1. That's why P1 waiting time as 0. P2 waiting time. P2 wait until it completes its execution of P1. That is 24 milliseconds is the waiting time for P2. P3. P3 will wait until the completion of the previous two processes P2 and P1. That is 27 milliseconds. P1 0. Once again listen. Here 0 is the no waiting time required for P1. Directly whenever it will be entered to the ready queue, the CPU will be assigned to that P1 by the short-term scheduler. This is 0 for P1 waiting time. P2 until the completion of first process, P2 must be in waiting state. P3, if you want to get the chance of P3 before it will complete the previous two processes execution, P2 and P1. That's why 27 milliseconds. These are the waiting times. 0 plus 24 plus 27 by 3, 17 milliseconds you should consider. Next, turnaround time. Turnaround time is the time for submission to the completion. How much amount of time required to complete the entire task in execution. That is called as the turnaround time. Means P1 submission time as 0. It will be completed at 24. Now 24 is the turnaround time for P1. Then P2 turnaround time 27. P3 turnaround time 30. 24 plus 27 plus 30 by 3. Some 37 or 27 value will be there. You have to calculate average turnaround time. Average turnaround time means 24 plus 27 plus 30 by number of processes by 3. This is the first come, first serve scheduling. It's the simplest basic principle. Which process will be arrived to the ready queue first, that will be executed first. The CPU will be allocated to that particular process who arrives first into that ready queue. That is called as first come, first serve scheduling. Means if we have any n number of processes are there, the burst time is the time to execute the entire task. The time required is called as the burst time. If you have given any problem, you have to draw the first Gantt chart. Starting all should be arrive at same time. 0 you should consider. For example, in some cases they have to give an arrival time. Whenever they have to give an the arrival time, we should consider that arrival time. Based upon the arrival time, we have to do the problem. The main advantages of FCFS scheduling algorithm is it is very easy to implement, simple, The main disadvantage of FCFS scheduling algorithm is, here you should observe one thing here. P2 needs 3 milliseconds, P3 needs 3 milliseconds, but P2 and P3 require minimum amount of time, very small burst time, even though those processes also waiting for the CPU before completion of the larger process. Means P1 has 24 milliseconds. Until the completion of 24 milliseconds, P2 and P3 must be in the waiting state, because it applies the scheduling policy as first come, first serve. Which process will be entered to the first in the ready queue, that will be processed first. Remaining process must be in the waiting state or continuously blocked state, because first process, for example, it may be 500 milliseconds. Until completion of 500 milliseconds or 8 hours time, for example, for first process, until the completion of 8 hours, next process may be 1 hour, next process may be half an hour. Even though the less CPU burst time processes also must be waiting for the CPU to get the chance of execution in the ready queue while applying the FCFS scheduling policy. That is the disadvantage of a FCFS. Even the small CPU burst time processes also must be waited for long amount of time in the ready queue to get the chance of CPU. It may lead to starvation or indefinite blocking. It leads to starvation or indefinite blocking. These are the drawbacks of FCFS scheduling algorithm. To overcome these drawbacks, we have next algorithm as SJF, shortest job first, or SPN you are called it as shortest process next, or shortest process next. We will discuss in the next class SJF algorithm. Any doubts in the FCFS algorithm? 3 processes, burst times are given. Once again I explained, starting at 0th second, because all are arrived at the 0th seconds to the ready queue. First entered process P1, it allocates the CPU and 24 milliseconds executed. P2, 24 plus 3 milliseconds for the burst time. It may need only 3 milliseconds to execute, but even though it will wait until completion of P1, means 24 milliseconds it will be in the waiting queue. Then 24 plus 3, 27. Again P3 will be the next arrived process. 27 plus 3, 30. Waiting time for P1 as 0, P2 as 24, P3 as 27. Turnaround time, where it will be completes the entire execution. Entire execution, P1 waiting time as 24, P2 as 27, P3 as 30. 30 means whenever you have to complete the P3, before it will complete your previous 2 processes. 3 plus 3 plus 24, that is the 30. In today's class, we discuss about various scheduling criteria. Based upon that scheduling criteria, you have to specify whether it is a fair scheduling or not. That algorithm is a fair. How can you specify whether algorithm is fair? Means if it is a, that algorithm must provide minimum waiting time minimum turnaround time and minimum response time, then you are called as, obviously have maximum CPU utilization or efficiency and throughput. Throughput indicates number of jobs executed per unit amount of time. With these 5 factors will decide whether it is a fair scheduler or not. Based upon this fairness, the algorithms are of 4 types. First one FCFS, first come first serve scheduling. Second one SJF scheduling algorithm. Third one priority. Fourth one round robin scheduling algorithms. We discuss one by one. Today I completed FCFS scheduling algorithm. Tomorrow I will explain about SJF, shortest job first algorithm. Shortest job first algorithm. With this, I want to conclude the today's session. I will continue tomorrow. Have a good day. Enjoy the session, I think. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.